When I was 15, my parents pulled a stunt they thought was funny. They left me at a gas station to teach me a lesson. Let's see how long it takes him to get back, they joked. I never did go back. Now, 18 years later, they somehow tracked me down. This morning, I woke up to 33 missed calls. I never planned to talk about this, but after watching some TikTok about parents teaching their kids life lessons, something just snapped inside me. I'm 33 now, but I can still remember the sharp smell of gasoline and the weight of the summer heat from that day. My folks, Frank and Susan, were big believers in what they called tough love. Growing up with them was like one long boot camp. Everything turned into some lesson or challenge meant to build character. They'd pull stunts like yanking me out of bed at 2 a.m. to mow the lawn because I forgot to do it the day before. If I missed the school bus, Mom wouldn't just drive me. Even if she was going that way, she'd make me walk in the pouring rain. That July morning seemed normal at first. We were heading back from visiting my sister, Sabrina, at her college, which was about 4 hours from home. I was half asleep in the backseat, zoning out to my iPod. Yeah, I know, real throwback. Dad said we needed gas, so we pulled off I-95 into this random, dusty little station in the middle of nowhere. Eric, go get me a coffee, he barked from the driver's seat. I grabbed the crumpled bills he handed me and trudged into the store. Behind the counter was this older guy, clearly drained by the heat. The coffee machine wasn't working right, so I had to wait while he brewed a fresh pot. By the time I came back out, the car was gone. At first, I figured they'd moved to a different pump, but then I saw our old, beat-up Camry merging back onto the highway. I stood there on the pavement, hot coffee cooling in my hand, just staring as the tail lights disappeared. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Mom. Let's see how long it takes you to get home. Consider this a lesson in problem-solving, smiley face. That smiley face still pisses me off. I tried calling them, but every call went straight to voicemail. After about 15 minutes, Mom sent another message. Don't bother calling. Your father says you need to figure this out on your own. We'll see you when you make it back. And here's the kicker, that wasn't even the worst thing they'd ever done. 2 years before that, they locked me out of the house in February because I got a C+ in chemistry. Maybe a night in the cold will help you focus, they said. I broke into the garage and slept there on a pile of boxes. They flipped out about the broken window and made me pay for it using my McDonald's paychecks. Back at that gas station, something in me just snapped. Or maybe it broke. I stared at the coffee, still warm, and realized I was finished. Just done. I had about $256 saved from my summer job lifeguarding at the local pool. My backpack was in the car, but I still had my wallet and iPod. I turned around and went back inside. Asked the cashier where the nearest bus station was. He pointed down the road. About 2 miles that way, he said. You okay, kid? He asked. I will be, I told him. Just need to make a call first. I called my Aunt Margaret, my mom's sister. My parents hadn't spoken to her in years because she enabled bad behavior after buying me a phone when they took mine away. She picked up on the second ring. They left you where? Everything after that was kind of a blur. Aunt Margaret lived 4 states away, but she did something I'll never forget. She called a local taxi service, not even Uber back then, and booked me a ride to the nearest bus station. Bought my ticket online. Just get yourself here, she said. We'll figure the rest out. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, more texts from Mom. Don't you dare call Margaret. You better be walking home, young man. Your father is very disappointed. This attitude needs to change. I blocked their numbers, shut my phone off, and got on that bus. I sat by the window and watched the fields roll past for 7 straight hours. Sabrina later told me our parents drove back to that gas station that night, thinking they'd find me waiting there. When I wasn't, they filed a missing persons report. But it didn't go far. Aunt Margaret had already started the emancipation paperwork. That was 18 years ago. I finished high school living with her, earned my GED, picked up some trade certifications, and started working with my hands. Eventually, I opened my own business. Built something solid. I met someone. Had kids of my own. Never once pulled those teaching moment games on them. I thought that chapter of my life was long gone. But yesterday, my office phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I hadn't seen in almost 2 decades. I didn't answer, but clearly, they'd found me. Now I've got 44 missed calls sitting on my phone. Here's the update. I have a rule, no checking my phone during meetings. Ever since starting my construction company, I've stuck to that. But when I walked out of the boardroom and saw all those missed calls, my stomach dropped. Most were from numbers I didn't know, but 3 of them were from Sabrina. I hadn't spoken to her in 18 years. For anyone just hearing this, here's the short version. When I was 15, my parents left me at a gas station as some twisted joke about building independence. I caught a bus to my aunt's place 2 states away and never looked back. Built my life from scratch. Started a construction company. 18 years of peace until now. The first voicemail was Sabrina, in tears. Eric, please pick up. Mom and Dad found you. They're spiraling. Just call me back, okay? Not them. Me. I sat there listening as the rest of the messages poured in. Mom and Dad bounced between guilt-tripping and barking orders. Your mother's sick. She's not. How could you abandon your family? That's rich. We made one mistake. One? That's hilarious. The last voicemail was Dad, slurring his words. You think you're better than us with your big-time business? We made you who you are. You owe us. I sat in my truck, just watching my phone blow up again. Finally, I messaged Sabrina. Meeting tomorrow. Denny's on 6th, 8 a.m. Come alone or don't come. She showed up looking just like I remembered, only older. Still had that nervous habit of tearing napkins apart in her hands. They're losing the house, she said, before even sitting down. Dad's been gambling. Mom maxed out their credit cards. They found your company online. They want money. The waitress brought coffee. I didn't even flinch as I poured in the cream. Tell me everything. Turns out they'd been following my company's social media for a while now. Dad got it into his head that I owed them for my success. They need 60 grand to avoid foreclosure. Sabrina kept apologizing, saying she tried to stop them from reaching out to me. Why would I help them? I asked. She broke down crying. Told me about Dad's drinking. Mom's shopping addiction. How they still blame everyone but themselves. They're still our parents, she whispered. No, I said. They stopped being my parents that day at the gas station. You know what the difference is between us, Sabrina? You're still hanging on, hoping they'll change. Me? I gave up on that a long time ago. My phone buzzed, Mom calling again. I hit decline and pulled out my wallet. I've got breakfast, I told Sabrina. After this, block my number. And whatever they try next, don't involve me. Eric, please, she said. I'm serious. I love you, you're my sister, but I'm not your fixer. Let them deal with their own mess. I was halfway to my truck when Sabrina came running after me. They're coming to your office, she yelled. Tomorrow morning. Mom found the address. I tried to stop them, I swear. I just nodded. Good. Let them come. Back at my office, I walked into 31 new messages. Turns out they'd been telling the rest of the family that I'm some heartless bastard who turned his back on them in their time of need. Classic move straight out of the narcissist playbook. But here's what they didn't know. I'd spent the last 24 hours making a few calls of my own. Turns out, their mortgage is through a bank I've worked with before. They're 3 months behind, and foreclosure's already underway. So tomorrow, they're going to march into my office thinking they've still got some kind of control, thinking they can guilt-trip me, twist my arm, make me feel responsible. They're in for a surprise. I've got a meeting scheduled with my lawyer first thing. Everything's already lined up. They want to see what became of their son? Fine. I'll show them exactly who I grew into and what happens when you push someone too far. That scared 15-year-old? He's long gone. I'm not running anymore. And I'm done being polite. I'll post an update after they show up. Something tells me this one's going to be a hell of a show. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, I'm recording everything. Yes, I've got security on standby. No, I'm not backing down. They made their choice 18 years ago. Now it's my turn. Edit 2. Stop messaging me about forgiveness. Unless you've lived through what I have, don't preach to me. Blood doesn't excuse abuse. And trust me, getting left at that gas station was just the start. Update 2. Hey Reddit. A lot's happened since the last post. I wasn't planning to share more so soon, but after yesterday, I need to get this off my chest. I was in my office, working through invoices, when Tina, our receptionist, buzzed me. Eric, there's a couple down here who say they're your parents. My stomach dropped. I'd been waiting for this moment since they tracked me down, but hearing it out loud still hit me hard. I told her to send them up. Might as well face it head on. Through the glass walls, I watched Frank and Susan walk in. They looked older, worn out. Dad's mustache had gone gray, and Mom's dyed blonde hair couldn't cover up the years written all over her face. They dressed up for the occasion, Mom in that same tired church dress, Dad in his baggy brown suit that never did fit right. The second they walked in, Mom broke down. Not soft tears, loud, dramatic sobbing. My baby boy. Look at you, she cried, arms out like she wanted a hug. I stepped back. Let's keep this professional, I said, motioning to the chairs. What do you want? Dad puffed up, just like he used to before he'd start one of his lectures. Now, son, is that any way to speak to your mother after all these years? Cut the crap, I said. You didn't spend 20 years looking for me because you missed me. You found me now because you need something. So spit it out. Mom's crying got louder. How can you be so heartless? We made one little mistake. A mistake. I let out a dry laugh. It wasn't joyful. You abandoned your 15-year-old son at a gas station, 200 miles from home. As a joke. Then you drove off laughing, talking about how long it would take me to get back. That wasn't a mistake. That was just the last straw after years of your sick little games. We came back for you, Dad shouted, jumping to his feet. We came back an hour later, but you were gone. Yeah, I said. I was. And I stayed gone. Best decision I ever made. I pulled out my phone and hit record. Now, state your business or leave. And that's when it all came out. Between Mom's tears and Dad's frustration, I pieced together the truth. They'd taken out a second mortgage to fund one of Dad's so-called can't-lose investments. And now? They were 6 months behind, about to lose the house. They needed $210,000 to stop the foreclosure. You've done so well for yourself, Mom whimpered, glancing around my office. Surely you can help your own parents? I let them finish. Then I opened a folder on my desk and slid it across. Funny you should bring up the house, I said. When I heard you were sniffing around, I did some digging. Found out about the foreclosure. So I went ahead and had my company buy your mortgage from the bank. The silence that followed was perfect. I watched their faces shift from confusion to disbelief to panic. What? Dad's voice cracked. What does that mean? It means, I said, you've got 30 days to move out. We bought the property legally at auction last week. We're demolishing it for a new development. Mom screamed. Dad's face turned beet red. You can't do this. That's our home. Like that gas station was mine? I said, calm as ever. At least I'm giving you 30 days. You gave me 30 seconds. Dad lunged across the desk. I didn't flinch. Security was already in position. They moved fast. As they dragged my parents out, Mom cursed me to hell, and Dad shouted about lawsuits. I just stood there, recording the whole thing through the glass. My phone buzzed again, a text from Sabrina. They just called me crying. What did you do? I typed back. What they taught me. I looked out for myself. I've spent 2 decades building a life from nothing. Now I'm using what I've learned to tear down the house that never felt like home. Demolition starts next month. I'll post when it's done. Edit. My Aunt Margaret, the woman who took me in all those years ago, just called. She told me she's proud of me. That meant more than any kind of revenge ever could. Final update. First off, thank you to everyone who supported me through this. I never expected my story to reach so many people. So what happened in the last few days? Let's just say karma finally caught up. After I bought the house through my company, my parents totally lost it. They started calling every relative they could think of, spinning this tale about their ungrateful son, throwing them onto the streets. What they didn't count on. I had proof. Remember those old Nokia phones that could record calls? I kept one from back in the day. I had the audio from that night at the gas station, Mom and Dad laughing as they drove away, saying, let's see how long it takes him to get home. I kept it all. I also had a stack of birthday cards with messages like, maybe if you weren't such a disappointment. I'd saved it, 20 years worth of emotional abuse, all documented. Yesterday morning, I emailed everything to the entire family. Every single person in our family got that recording. They all saw the birthday cards. Read the texts. By noon, Sabrina was on the phone with me, sobbing. Turns out Mom and Dad had been telling a whole different story for years, claiming I ran away because I was strung out on drugs. Classic move. But here's where things really get good. Remember when I said I was going to demolish their house? Yeah, I meant it. Had the permits ready to go, the crew lined up, everything in place. Then I called them, invited them to come watch it happen. They showed up with Aunt Margaret, thinking maybe she'd guilt me into backing down. Instead, she sat right there with me in the front row while we watched their precious house get flattened. Mom lost it, screaming about her garden. Dad started ranting about lawsuits. With what money, Frank? I asked, sipping my coffee while they unraveled. 2 decades of pain, manipulation, and mind games, all reduced to rubble in a couple hours. The look on their faces when the bulldozer rolled right over Mom's beloved rose garden? Man, I'll never forget it. But I wasn't finished. That piece of land. Turns out it's in a decent spot. Instead of putting up some overpriced condo complex, I decided to do something better. I'm building affordable housing. 8 units. Fair rent. Priority for single parents and their kids. The plans are already approved and ready to go. The best part? I'm naming the complex Annabelle Haven, after my Aunt Margaret, the woman who took me in when I had nowhere to go. She passed away last year, but she'd be proud knowing her name was helping other people escape the kind of situation I came from. Of course, Mom and Dad tried turning the neighborhood against me. They showed baby pictures to folks next door, trying to paint us as one big happy family. Too bad those neighbors remembered the truth, remembered hearing me crying at night. One of them, Mrs. Carter, even walked over and hugged me. Told me she always regretted not calling child services back then. This morning was the final face-off. They showed up at my office again. This time quiet, humble, trying this sorry routine. Dad actually cried. Said they were about to be homeless. Mom promised she'd forgive me if I helped them out. I let them talk for 10 minutes. Didn't say a word. Then I handed them a rental application for one of the new units. Told them they're welcome to apply, just like anyone else. But they'd need references. And a clean credit check. Their faces? I wish I had taken a picture. But we're your parents. Mom shouted. And Dad started in with his usual speech. After everything we've done for you. I smiled. Exactly. After everything you've done, this is what you get. The demolition crew starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow, I added. Don't forget your garden gnomes. They've been blowing up my phone ever since. Sabrina says they're holed up in some cheap motel, ranting about lawsuits. Good luck with that. Everything I did, 100% legal. And yes, I will be live streaming the demolition on Instagram for the whole family to watch. You know what's funny? I spent years fantasizing about revenge. Came up with wild ideas, dramatic payback scenes. But none of that beats what I'm doing now. Just watching them face the real-life consequences of their actions feels better than anything I could have dreamed up. They threw their son away over a twisted joke, and now they get to watch their past crumble into dust, making room for people they never would have helped. Tomorrow, I'm showing up with lawn chairs and popcorn to watch the demolition go down. Anyone want to join me? Edit. For those wondering, yes, I'm actually following through on the affordable housing. Already partnered with a local nonprofit to manage applications. And no, I'm not reconsidering. Some bridges don't just need to burn, they need to stay ash. Edit 2. To everyone asking about Sabrina. Yeah, we're patching things up. She was just 8 when it all happened. Can't blame her for believing their lies. We've got coffee plans next week. Edit 3. Holy crap, this blew up. Thanks for the awards and kind words. And for anyone saying I'm being too harsh, try getting left behind at a gas station when you're 15, then come back and tell me how forgiving you feel. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story.